knuckles white against the dark stone. "Get out!" The words came out strangled, broken. She stood there in his kitchen, barefoot, wearing his shirt, looking at him like he was a stranger. "What?" Her voice cracked. "Jaewon, what are you—" He couldn't look at her, couldn't breathe. "I said get the fuck out." The coldness in his tone made her flinch. She stepped forward, reaching for his arm. "Please, just talk to me. Last night you said—" Last night was a mistake. He finally met her eyes, and what she saw there made her blood run cold. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like she meant nothing. Her hand dropped. "You don't mean that." "Don't I?" He turned away, jaw clenched so tight it had to hurt. "You were convenient, a warm body for the night, that's all." The air left her lungs. She waited for him to take it back, to laugh, to say anything else. Silence. 10 seconds that felt like hours. Then he spoke again, and it was worse. "There's money on the table, for your services." Everything went silent. The hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of soul traffic, her own heartbeat. "Services?" she repeated, her voice barely a whisper. "I run an empire, Hana. I don't do relationships. I don't do feelings. Last night shouldn't have happened." He pulled out his phone, didn't even look at her. "My driver will take you wherever you need to go." "I thought—" Her voice broke. "I thought last night meant something." "Then you thought wrong." He walked toward the door, stopped with his hand on the frame. "Lose my number. Forget this happened. Forget me." He left. Just like that. Left her standing in his penthouse kitchen wearing his shirt, feeling like the floor had opened up beneath her feet. She looked down and saw the stack of bills on the marble island. Her vision blurred. She didn't remember leaving, didn't remember getting dressed, didn't remember anything except the hollow feeling in her chest where something warm had been just hours ago. 3 months earlier, the rain came down in sheets that August night, the kind of downpour that turned Seoul's streets into rivers. Hana pressed herself against the convenience store overhang, shivering in her thin cardigan, phone dead, wallet stolen, nowhere to go. "Stupid, stupid, stupid," she muttered, wrapping her arms around herself. The date had been a disaster. The guy had taken her wallet while she was in the bathroom and disappeared. 3 months in Seoul, and she'd managed to become every cautionary tale her mother had warned her about. "You're going to freeze to death standing there." She jumped, spinning around. The man behind her was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in an expensive black coat that probably cost more than her monthly rent. His face was sharp, beautiful in a dangerous way, with dark eyes that seemed to see right through her. "I'm fine," she lied, teeth chattering. He raised an eyebrow. "You're soaked. Your lips are turning blue, and you've been standing here for 20 minutes. That's not fine." "How would you know how long I've been—" She stopped. "Have you been watching me?" "My car is parked across the street." He nodded toward a sleek black vehicle that looked like it belonged in a movie. "I was making a call. Couldn't help but notice the girl slowly turning into a popsicle." Despite everything, she almost laughed. Almost. "Well, thanks for your concern, but I'm waiting for the rain to stop." "The forecast says it won't stop until morning." He studied her for a long moment. "You have somewhere to go?" She should have lied, should have said yes, thanked him, sent him on his way. Instead, something about the way he looked at her, not with pity, but with understanding, made her tell the truth. "Not really." He was quiet for so long she thought he hadn't heard her. Then, "I have a guest room. It's empty. You can stay the night, charge your phone, figure things out in the morning." "I don't even know your name." "Jaewon." He held out his hand. "Kang Jaewon. Hana. Park Hana." She stared at his hand. "This is insane. You could be a serial killer." "I could be." He didn't smile, but something flickered in his eyes. "But you're out of options, and I'm offering you a warm, dry place to sleep. No strings. You can leave the moment the rain stops." She should have said no, should have walked away, should have done literally anything else. She took his hand. "Okay." His penthouse was obscenely beautiful. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Seoul skyline, modern furniture that looked like art, everything in shades of black, white, and gray. Cold, expensive, lonely. "Bathrooms down the hall," Jae-won said, tossing her a towel. "There are clothes in the guest room closet. Help yourself." "Thank you." She hesitated. "Really, I don't know why you're doing this, but thank you." He looked at her then, really looked at her, and something passed between them. Something electric and terrifying and impossible to name. "Everyone needs help sometimes," he said quietly. Then he turned away. "I'll order food. You like jjajangmyeon?" "I love jjajangmyeon." The corner of his mouth lifted, almost a smile. "Good." They ate sitting on his living room floor, the coffee table between them, Seoul glittering beyond the windows. She'd changed into sweatpants and a hoodie that were comically large on her, and her hair was still damp, but she was warm, safe. "So what's your story?" Jae-won asked, twirling noodles around his chopsticks. "What brings you to Seoul?" "The usual," she shrugged. "Dreams, delusions, a desperate need to prove my parents wrong about my life choices." "That's specific." "They wanted me to be a doctor. I wanted to be a photographer." She picked at her food, compromised by becoming a barista who takes pictures on weekends. "You're a photographer?" "I try to be." She pulled out her phone, now charging on the kitchen counter, and scrolled through her gallery, showing him shots of Seoul at dawn, street vendors, old women selling vegetables, children playing in fountains. "I want to capture real life, you know, real moments, real emotion." He studied the photos with an intensity that made her nervous. "These are good, really good." "Thanks." She felt her cheeks heat. "What about you? What do you do?" Something shifted in his expression, closed off. "Import-export business, it's boring." "Boring enough to afford a penthouse like this?" "Lucky investments." He set down his chopsticks. "Tell me about the guy who stole your wallet." "Oh, God, let's not." She groaned, covering her face. "I feel stupid enough already." "He didn't deserve you anyway." The words were soft, almost absent, like he hadn't meant to say them out loud. Her hands dropped. "You don't even know me." "I know enough." His eyes met hers, dark and deep and full of something she couldn't read. "I know you're brave enough to move to a foreign city alone, kind enough to give a stranger the benefit of the doubt, strong enough to admit when you need help. That's more than most people." Her heart did something complicated in her chest. "You're not what I expected." "What did you expect?" "I don't know. A creep, maybe? A guy with ulterior motives?" She smiled. "Not someone who orders extra pickled radish because he noticed me eating all of mine." He glanced at the empty dish between them, the corner of his mouth quirking up. "Observant. Photographer, remember?" She leaned back against the couch. "We notice things." "What do you notice about me?" The question hung in the air between them, heavy with possibility. She studied him. The sharp line of his jaw, the careful way he held himself, the sadness buried deep in his eyes. "I notice you're lonely," she said quietly. "I notice this penthouse is beautiful but empty. I notice you helped a stranger in the rain because maybe, just maybe, you know what it's like to need help and not have anyone to turn to." The silence stretched. She'd gone too far, said too much. She opened her mouth to apologize. "You're right," he said. His voice was rough, raw, about all of it. They talked until 3 a.m., about everything, nothing. His childhood in Busan, raised by his grandmother after his parents died, her small-town upbringing, the suffocating expectations, his love of old movies, her obsession with jazz music, the way Seoul felt alive at night, the way loneliness felt the same in any language. "I should let you sleep," Jae-won said finally, standing up, but he didn't move toward his room. Neither did she. "Jae-won?" She stood too, suddenly close enough to feel the warmth radiating from his body. "Thank you. For tonight. For listening. For seeing me." "Hana." Her name sounded different in his mouth. Important. "Can I be honest with you?" "Always." "I don't do this. Bring people here. Let people in." His hand lifted, hesitated, then gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "But there's something about you, something that makes me want to be different, better." She couldn't breathe. "That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. I mean it." His thumb traced her cheekbone, the touch feather-light and devastating. "Stay, not just tonight. Stay for breakfast. Stay for coffee. Stay and let me take you somewhere beautiful so you can take more photographs. Stay and tell me more stories. Just stay." "Okay," she whispered. "I'll stay." He kissed her then. Soft at first, tentative, like he was afraid she might disappear. She kissed him back, rising on her toes, her hands fisting in his shirt, and suddenly it wasn't tentative anymore. It was desperate and hungry, and 3 months of loneliness pouring out of both of them. They barely made it to his bedroom, clothes scattered across the hallway, his hands in her hair, her back against the wall, his mouth on her neck, whispering her name like a prayer. "Tell me you want this," he breathed against her skin. "Tell me you feel it too." "I want this." She pulled him closer, closer, never close enough. "I feel it. God, I feel it." They fell into his bed, tangled together, and for the first time in months, neither of them felt lonely. Present day. Earth to Hana. "Come back to me, babe." She blinked, focusing on her best friend across the cafe table. Minji was watching her with concern, her iced Americano forgotten, perfectly manicured nails tapping against the cup. "Sorry." Hana rubbed her face. "I'm here." "No, you're not. You've been in outer space for 3 days. Minji leaned forward. "Okay, spill. What happened? And don't say nothing because you have that look." "What look?" "The A-man destroyed my entire existence look." Minji's expression softened. "Talk to me." So she did. Everything spilled out. The night in the rain, the 3 months of secret meetings, stolen kisses, falling so hard she forgot how to breathe without him. The way Jae-won looked at her like she was his entire world. The night 2 weeks ago when he'd finally asked her to stay over, really stay over, and she'd said yes. And then the morning after, the coldness, the money on the table, the way he'd thrown her out like garbage. "That motherfucker," Minji breathed. "Hana, I'm going to kill him, actually murder him. Where does he live?" "Minji." "No, I'm serious. Who does that? Who tells someone they're everything and then—" She stopped, studying Hana's face. "You love him." It wasn't a question. Hana's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so stupid." "You're not stupid, you're human." Minji grabbed her hand. "But babe, you need to forget him. Block his number. Burn everything that reminds you of him. Move on." "I'm trying." The tears spilled over. "I'm really trying." Her phone buzzed. She flipped it over without thinking, and her heart stopped. Unknown number. "I'm sorry." "What?" Minji tried to grab the phone. "What is it?" But Hana was already typing back, fingers shaking. "Hana, who is this?" "Unknown." "You know who. Please, I need to explain." "Hana, you made yourself clear. There's nothing to explain." "Unknown. Everything I said was a lie. I had to push you away. It wasn't safe for you to be with me." "Hana, what are you talking about?" "Unknown. Meet me. Tonight. Namsan Tower. 8 p.m. I'll tell you everything." Her thumb hovered over the keyboard. She should say no. Should block him. Should protect what was left of her shattered heart. "Don't you dare," Minji warned. "Hana, don't you fucking dare meet him." But she was already typing. "Hana, fine. One conversation. Then we're done." Namsan Tower rose against the twilight sky, its lights just beginning to glow. Hana arrived 15 minutes early, pacing near the base, her heart hammering against her ribs. What was she doing? This was insane. He'd hurt her, used her, thrown her away like she meant nothing. Everything I said was a lie. "You came." She spun around. Jae-won stood 10 feet away, hands shoved in his pockets, looking like he hadn't slept in days, dark circles under his eyes, stubble on his jaw, still beautiful, still devastating. "I'm here," she said coldly. "You have 10 minutes. "Hana?" 9 minutes and 50 seconds. He flinched. Fair enough. He took a breath. Everything I said that morning was a lie. I didn't mean any of it. You weren't a mistake. You weren't convenient. You are everything. Then why? Her voice broke despite her best efforts. Why did you say those things? Why did you hurt me? Because someone found out about you. The words came out rushed, desperate. Someone from my world, someone dangerous. Your world? What the hell does that mean? I lied about what I do. He ran a hand through his hair, the gesture so familiar it made her ache. I'm not in import-export. God, there's no easy way to say this. I run the Kang family, my family. We're involved in things that aren't exactly legal. The world tilted. You're telling me you're Mafia, technically. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Korean organized crime. My grandfather started it, my father expanded it, and now it's mine. Has been since I was 23. Oh my God, she stepped back. Oh my God, Jaewon, what the fuck? I know how this sounds. He moved toward her, stopped when she held up a hand. I never wanted this life. I was supposed to be a prosecutor. I had plans, dreams. Then my father was killed. And suddenly, I was responsible for hundreds of people, for territory, for a legacy I never asked for. And me. She could barely get the words out. Where do I fit into all this? You were supposed to be one night. A moment of weakness. His eyes glistened. But then you stayed for breakfast, and you laughed at my terrible jokes, and you looked at me like I was human. Like I was just Jaewon, not the boss, not the killer, not the monster everyone sees. You looked at me like I mattered. You did matter. Tears streamed down her face. You still? She caught herself. What changed? What happened? My second-in-command saw us together. He reported back to my advisors. They said you were a liability, a weakness enemies could exploit. Jaewon's jaw clenched. There was a meeting. They wanted me to handle it, permanently. The implication made her stomach turn. Handle it? I would never, never. He closed the distance between them, his hands hovering near her face but not touching. I would die before I let anyone hurt you. So I did the only thing I could think of. I pushed you away. I made you hate me. I made sure you'd never want to see me again. You put money on the table. Her voice was hollow. You called me a prostitute. I know. The tears in his eyes finally fell. I know, and I will never forgive myself. But I had to make it cruel, had to make it final, because if they thought you still meant something to me, they'd come after you. She wanted to hit him, wanted to scream, wanted to collapse into his arms and never let go. You should have told me. I know. You should have trusted me. I know. You should have... Her voice broke completely. You should have let me choose. Let me decide if I wanted to take that risk. Would you have? He finally touched her, fingers trembling as they cupped her face. If I'd told you the truth, would you have chosen this? Chosen me? Chosen a life of danger and secrets and always looking over your shoulder? She met his eyes, saw the fear there, the desperate hope, the love he couldn't hide anymore. Yes, she whispered, I would have chosen you, every time. He kissed her like a drowning man finding air. She kissed him back, 3 weeks of heartbreak and fury and love pouring between them. His hands were in her hair, her arms wrapped around his neck, and for a moment nothing else existed. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to hers. I love you, he said. I love you so much it terrifies me. I love you enough to let you go if that's what's safest. I love you enough to... Shut up. She laughed through her tears. Just shut up and kiss me again. He did. 2 weeks later. Explain to me again why we're at an underground parking garage? Minji whispered, clutching Hana's arm as they descended the concrete steps. Jaewon wants you to meet someone, Hana whispered back. Someone who hangs out in creepy garages. Great. Love that for us. They reached the bottom level. A single black car sat in the center, and leaning against it was a man who looked like he'd walked out of a cologne ad. Tall, sharp-featured, impeccably dressed in a three-piece suit despite the industrial setting. "You must be Minji." He pushed off the car, extending a hand. "I'm Kang Tae-hyun, Jaewon's cousin and attorney." Minji's mouth opened, closed, opened again. "You're very tall." Hana bit back a laugh. Minji was never flustered, ever. "And you're very observant." Taehyun smiled, and it transformed his entire face. "Jaewon asked me to brief you on some security protocols. Since you're Hana's emergency contact, we need to make sure you're protected too." "Protected from what exactly?" Minji had found her voice again, crossing her arms. "Wait, don't tell me. More Mafia stuff?" "More Mafia stuff," Taehyun confirmed, "though we prefer family business." "Tomato, tomato. Murder, surprise, permanent sleep." He laughed, actually laughed. "I like you. Everyone does. It's my curse." But Minji was smiling now, and Hana noticed she hadn't stepped away from him. "So what? You're going to give me a panic button? Assign me a bodyguard? Teach me karate?" "Actually, I was thinking dinner." Taehyun's expression turned serious, but his eyes sparkled. "We should discuss this properly, somewhere with good wine and better food. Is this a business dinner or a date?" "Can it be both?" Minji looked at Hana, who shrugged, trying not to grin. Minji turned back to Taehyun. "Fine, but I pick the restaurant, and you're paying, and if you turn out to be a secret serial killer, I'm haunting you for eternity." "Deal." He pulled out his phone. "Give me your number." As Minji recited her number, stumbling over the digits in a way that was absolutely not like her, Hana felt a hand slip into hers. She turned to find Jaewon beside her, appearing from the shadows like he always did. "Hey," he murmured, pulling her close. "How'd it go?" "I think your cousin just swept my best friend off her feet." "Taehyun?" Jaewon glanced over, eyebrows rising. "Huh, he never shows interest in anyone." "Well, he's definitely interested now." Hana watched Minji laugh at something Taehyun said, her whole face lighting up. "This is weird, right? Us double dating with your lawyer cousin. This is our life now." He kissed her temple. "Weird and dangerous and complicated. I wouldn't change it." She looked up at him. "Well, maybe the death threats. I could do without those. Working on it." His expression darkened. "Actually, there's something I need to tell you." Her stomach clenched. "That sounds ominous. Not bad, just complicated." He guided her toward his car, away from the others. "Remember I told you about my advisors? The ones who wanted you gone? Hard to forget the people who wanted me dead. I fired them. All of them." He leaned against the car, pulling her between his legs. "I'm restructuring everything. Taehyun is helping me transition the business into more legitimate ventures. It'll take time. Years, probably. But I want out. I want a real life. With you." Tears pricked her eyes. "Jaewon. I know I'm asking a lot. I know this isn't the fairy tale you signed up for." His hands settled on her hips. "But I swear to you, I will spend every day making sure you never regret choosing me." "I could never regret you." She cupped his face. "But I need you to promise me something. Anything. No more secrets. No more pushing me away to protect me. We're partners now. Equal partners. You don't get to make decisions about my safety without me." He was quiet for a long moment, then, "You're right, I promise. No more secrets." "Good." She kissed him softly. "Now take me home. I want to cook dinner and pretend we're normal people for one night." "We are normal people." "Babe, you have 17 guys with guns guarding your penthouse. We're not normal." "Fair point." He grinned, the expression so young and carefree it made her heart ache. "But I can order takeout and pretend I cooked it." That's the spirit. 1 month later, the club was too loud, too crowded, too everything. Hana nursed her drink, watching Minji dance with Taehyun. When had that become official? She'd missed the memo, while Jaewon was somewhere handling business. She shouldn't have come. Her head hurt, her stomach was upset, and she'd been feeling off for days, probably the flu, or stress, or… Hana Park? She turned. The man approaching was vaguely familiar, mid-30s, expensive suit, cold eyes. Something in her gut screamed danger. "Do I know you?" she asked carefully. "Not yet, but I know you." He smiled, and it didn't reach his eyes. "You're Kang Jae-won's little pet project, the photographer he's been playing house with. I think you have me confused with someone else." She stood, looking for security, for Jae-won, for anyone. The man grabbed her wrist. "I don't think so. See, there's a price on your head. Did Jae-won tell you that? His enemies would pay a fortune for the privilege of hurting you, hurting him." Her blood went cold. "Let go of me. Or what, you'll scream in a club this loud?" He leaned closer, breath reeking of whiskey. "Come quietly and this doesn't have to get messy." She said, "Let go." The voice was arctic. The man's grip loosened and Hana yanked free, stumbling back. Jae-won stood behind her now, flanked by two massive security guards. But it was the look on his face that made her breath catch. Pure, concentrated rage. "Kang." The man held up his hands. "This is just business. You understand business. You touched her." Jae-won's voice was soft, deadly. "You threatened her. In my club. On my territory." "Look, I was just…" Jae-won moved so fast Hana almost missed it. One second he was beside her, the next he had the man by the throat slammed against the wall, feet dangling off the ground. "I'm going to give you 5 seconds to apologize to her," Jae-won said calmly. "Then I'm going to break every bone in your hand, the hand that touched her. Are we clear?" The man wheezed something that might have been an apology. "Not to me," Jae-won's grip tightened. "To her." "I'm sorry," the man gasped out, eyes bulging. I'm sorry." Jae-won held him there for another long moment. Then he dropped him, and the man collapsed, gasping. Security hauled him away without a word. "Are you okay?" Jae-won turned to her, and the rage was gone, replaced by desperate concern. His hands framed her face, checking for injuries. "Did he hurt you? Hana, talk to me." "I'm fine," but she wasn't. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving her shaky and nauseous. I need air." He guided her outside, away from the noise, into the cool November night. She bent over, hands on her knees, breathing hard. "I'm going to be sick." She was. Right there on the curb, while Jae-won held her hair back and murmured soothing words. When she finally straightened, wiping her mouth, she felt like death warmed over. "We're going to the hospital," Jae-won said firmly. "It's just stress. Hospital, now." The private room at Seoul Medical Center was quiet, sterile, surreal. Hana lay in the bed while a doctor examined her, Jae-won pacing like a caged tiger by the window. "Ms. Park," the doctor said gently, setting down her chart, "when was your last menstrual period?" The world stopped. I don't… She tried to think. When had it been? 6 weeks? 7? Oh, God. "We ran a blood test along with the other panels." The doctor smiled. "Congratulations. You're about 8 weeks pregnant." The monitors beeped. Traffic hummed beyond the window. Jae-won had gone completely still. "Pregnant," Hana repeated. The word felt foreign. Impossible. "I'm pregnant?" "Yes. And the baby appears healthy. The nausea you've been experiencing is normal morning sickness, though it can happen any time of day." The doctor handed her some pamphlets. "We'll want to schedule a follow-up appointment and start you on prenatal vitamins." The doctor left. Silence filled the room like water. "Jae-won?" Hana's voice was small. "Say something." He turned from the window, and the expression on his face made her heart stop. He looked devastated, terrified. "I can't do this," he whispered. The words hit like a physical blow. "What?" "I can't." He pressed his hands to his face. "God, Hana, don't you understand? My world is violence and danger and death. I can barely keep you safe. How am I supposed to protect a child?" "Our child?" "Jae-won." They'll use it against us. Every enemy I've ever made will see this baby as a target. He was spiraling, pacing again. I should have been more careful. I should have... Stop. She sat up, fury replacing the hurt. Just stop. Do you hear yourself right now? I'm being realistic. You're being a coward. The words echoed in the quiet room. You said no more running, no more pushing me away to protect me. You promised. This is different. How? How is this different? Tears streamed down her face. Either you want a life with me or you don't. Either you trust us to figure this out together or you let fear win. So what's it going to be? He stared at her, chest heaving. Then slowly, he sank into the chair beside her bed and dropped his head into his hands. I'm terrified, he said, voice breaking. I'm so fucking terrified, Hannah. What if I can't protect you? What if something happens? What if I become like my father, distant and cold and so consumed by the business that I forget what matters? Then I'll remind you. She reached for his hand, lacing their fingers together. That's what we do. We remind each other. We choose each other. Every day. You make it sound so simple. It is simple. Do you love me? More than anything. He looked up, eyes red. More than my own life. Do you want this baby? A long pause. Then, yes. God, yes, I'm terrified, but yes. Then that's all we need. She pulled him closer until his head rested against her stomach. We'll figure out the rest, together. His arms wrapped around her waist, holding on like she was the only solid thing in a tilting world. She felt his shoulders shake and realized he was crying, really crying, for maybe the first time since they'd met. I'm going to be a father, he said against her stomach, wonder and terror mixing in his voice. Yeah. She ran her fingers through his hair. You are. I have no idea what I'm doing. Neither do I. We'll learn together. He looked up at her then, and despite the tears, despite the fear, he was smiling. I love you. Both of you. We love you too. She wiped his tears with her thumb. Now, can we please get out of this hospital? The smell is making me nauseous again. He laughed, actually laughed. Let's go home. 3 months later, the morning sickness had finally subsided, replaced by an insatiable appetite for spicy food and an inability to see her own feet. Hannah stood in front of the floor-length mirror in Jae-won's, their bedroom, turning sideways to examine her growing belly. You're staring again, Jae-won said from the bed, laptop balanced on his knees. I'm growing a human. I'm allowed to stare. She poked her stomach. Besides, you stare at me all the time. That's different. How? Because you're beautiful. He set aside the laptop, crossing to wrap his arms around her from behind. His hands settled over her belly, protective and gentle. You're literally glowing. That's sweat. It's hot, and your child is using my internal organs as a punching bag. Our child, he kissed her neck. And strong, clearly. Takes after Mom. Smooth talker. But she leaned into him, content. How's the business transition going? Slowly, but we're making progress. His reflection met hers in the mirror. Taehyun thinks we'll be mostly legitimate within 2 years. No more gray areas. Good. She turned in his arms. Because I want our baby growing up safe, normal, with a dad who comes home every night and doesn't have multiple assassination attempts per year. I'm down to 1 every 3 months now. That's progress. Jae-won. Kidding. Mostly. He kissed her forehead. I promise, by the time this baby arrives, the dangerous part of my life will be over. Just boring business meetings and too much paperwork. I can live with boring. A knock on the door interrupted them. Boss? A voice called. You have visitors. Jae-won frowned. I didn't schedule. The door burst open. Min-ji rushed in, followed by Tae-hyun, both of them breathless and grinning. We have news, Min-ji announced. Could you maybe wait until we're dressed? Hannah gestured to her oversized t-shirt and Jae-won's state of semi-undress. No time. Min-ji thrust out her left hand, where a diamond ring sparkled on her 4th finger. We're engaged. What? Hana shrieked. "Oh my God! When? How? Tell me everything!" While Minji launched into an animated story involving a rooftop, 1,000 candles, and Tae-hyun's surprisingly terrible proposal speech, Jae-won clapped his cousin on the shoulder. "Congratulations, man, you did good." "Learned from the best," Tae-hyun smiled. "Speaking of which, when are you going to make an honest woman out of Hana?" "Who says I haven't already?" Everyone went silent. Hana's head whipped around. "What?" Jae-won had the grace to look sheepish. He walked to his nightstand, opened the drawer, and pulled out a small velvet box. "I was planning a whole thing," he said, turning to her. "Dinner, music, probably some embarrassingly emotional speech. But you know what? This is better. Our family, our bedroom, a random Tuesday morning. This is us." He dropped to one knee. Hana's hands flew to her mouth. "Park Hana, you crashed into my life on the worst night and somehow made it the best. You see past the monster to the man underneath. You make me want to be better, do better, live better. You're having my baby, and you haven't run away screaming yet, which is honestly impressive." He opened the box, revealing a stunning ring. Simple, elegant, perfect. "Will you marry me?" "You're serious?" She was crying now, happy tears that wouldn't stop. "You're really deadly serious, pun intended." He smiled up at her. "So what do you say? Want to be Mrs. Kang?" "Yes." She dropped to her knees in front of him, not caring about grace or elegance. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times, yes." He slid the ring on her finger, and it fit perfectly. Of course it did. Then he kissed her, deep and slow and full of promise, while Minji squealed and Tae-hyun applauded. "We're getting married," Hana whispered against his lips. "We're getting married," he confirmed, "and having a baby, and building a life together." "Best one-night stand ever," he laughed. "Best mistake I ever made." "Hey," she swatted his arm. "I'm not a mistake." "No." He grew serious, cupping her face. "You're not. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. You're my redemption, my second chance, my whole damn world." "Okay, I'm crying again." Minji wiped her eyes. "Tae-hyun, give me your handkerchief." "You're using your own handkerchief. I gave it to you 5 minutes ago." "Then get me another one." While they bickered, Jae-won helped Hana to her feet, one hand on her lower back, the other cradling her belly. "We should celebrate," he said. "All of us. Dinner tonight?" "I'm in," Minji said immediately, "but somewhere with good food. Your future niece or nephew is demanding dakgalbi." "The baby wants dakgalbi?" Tae-hyun raised an eyebrow. "The baby's mother wants dakgalbi. Keep up, fiancé." "I'm learning." But he was smiling, pulling Minji close. "Anywhere you want." That evening, the private dining room at Mingle's was warm, intimate, perfect. Candles flickered on the table, casting golden light over the faces of the people Hana loved most in the world. Jae-won sat beside her, his hand never leaving hers. Across from them, Minji was in the middle of a story about Tae-hyun's terrible cooking attempt, her fiancé protesting good-naturedly. "I'm just saying, who burns water?" Minji demanded. "It was steam. The pot was steaming." "You set off 3 smoke alarms." "Technical difficulties." Hana laughed until her sides hurt, until tears rolled down her cheeks, until Jae-won had to steady her so she didn't fall out of her chair. "I love this," she said when she finally caught her breath. "I love us. All of us." "Aw, babe." Minji reached across the table to squeeze her hand. "We love you too. No, I mean it." Hana looked around the table. 6 months ago, I was alone in a foreign city with no money, no friends, no hope. And now I have everything. A man who loves me, a best friend who's like my sister, a future brother-in-law who makes terrible jokes. "Hey," Tae-hyun protested, "and a baby on the way, and a family and a life I never dreamed I could have." Her voice caught. "Thank you, all of you, for seeing me, for choosing me, for being here." "Always," Minji said fiercely. "We're family now, stuck with each other." "I'll drink to that." Tae-hyun raised his glass. "To family, to second chances, to love that finds us when we least expect it, to new beginnings, Jaewon added, his eyes on Hana, and to the woman who taught me that the best things in life are worth fighting for. They clinked glasses, water for Hana, wine for the others, and drank. The conversation flowed, easy and warm, punctuated by laughter and teasing and the comfortable silence of people who truly understood each other. Later, as they left the restaurant, Jaewon pulled Hana aside on the quiet street. "Hey," he said softly, "you okay?" "I'm perfect." She smiled up at him. "I'm so happy I don't know what to do with it." "Get used to it." He kissed her forehead. "Because this is forever. You, me, our baby, our weird little family. This is our story now. It's a good story. It's the best story." He placed his hand over her belly, and it's just beginning. She covered his hand with hers, feeling the flutter of movement beneath their palms. Their baby, their future, their impossible, beautiful, hard-won love. "Did I ever tell you," she said, "that I went back to that convenience store? The one where you found me?" "No, why?" "I wanted to see if it felt different. If I felt different." She leaned into him. "And I did. I looked at that overhang where I was shivering and lost, and I couldn't believe that used to be me. That used to be my life." "What changed?" "You." She looked up at him. "A Korean Mafia boss let a stranger stay one night, and by morning, everything changed." He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. Around them, Seoul hummed with life. Neon signs glowing, people laughing, the city alive and electric. But in that moment, it was just the two of them, the lost girl and the lonely man who'd found each other in the rain. "I love you," he whispered against her lips. "I love you too." She smiled. "Now take me home." Always. They walked into the night hand in hand, followed by Minji and Taehyun's bickering and laughter. Behind them, the restaurant glowed warm. Ahead of them, their future waited, uncertain, complicated, full of challenges they'd face together. But they were together, and that was everything. Epilogue. 1 year later, the nursery was painted soft yellow, filled with stuffed animals and picture books, and a crib where 7-month-old Hanamina Kang slept peacefully. Hana stood in the doorway watching her daughter's chest rise and fall, overwhelmed as always by the sheer miracle of her existence. "She's perfect," Jaewon murmured, appearing behind her. "She's drooling on her blanket. Perfectly drooling." He wrapped his arms around Hana's waist, just like her mom. "I don't drool." "You absolutely do. It's adorable." She elbowed him gently, but she was smiling. They stood there in comfortable silence, watching their daughter sleep, until Mina stirred and made a small sound. "Your turn," Hana said. "I got her last time." "You're the one who wanted another baby." "I said maybe we should think about another baby in like 3 years. Tell that to your very persuasive hands last week." He groaned, but moved into the nursery, carefully lifting Mina from her crib. She settled against his chest immediately, tiny fist curling into his shirt. He swayed gently, humming something low and soothing. Hana watched them, her husband and daughter, and felt her heart expand so much it almost hurt. This was everything. Her phone buzzed with a text from Minji. "Minji, Taehyun just suggested we get a cat. A cat. We've been married for 6 months and he wants a practice baby that's a feline. Help me. Hana, get the cat, trust me. It's good practice. Minji, you're supposed to be on my side." Hana, "I am. I'm on the side of future adorable cat photos." Minji, "I hate you." Hana, "No you don't. Bring the future cat to dinner on Sunday. Mina needs a cousin." Minji, "It's not happening. Okay, fine, I'm looking at adoption sites. But this is your fault." Hana smiled, tucking her phone away. Across the room, Jaewon had settled into the rocking chair, Mina fast asleep on his chest. He looked exhausted. They both were. New parents figuring it out day by day. But happy. Truly, deeply happy. "What are you thinking about?" he asked softly. "That night." She crossed to him, perching on the arm of the chair. "In the rain, when you offered me a place to stay. Best decision I ever made. I was thinking..." She ran her fingers through his hair. "What if I hadn't taken your hand? What if I'd said no? Then I would have waited until the rain stopped and followed you home to make sure you got there safely." "Really? Really?" He looked up at her. "I knew the moment I saw you that you were going to change my life. I felt it. Here." He pressed her hand to his chest, over his heart. "You were inevitable, Parkhana. We were inevitable. We were pretty good at inevitable." She kissed him softly. "We made a tiny human in everything. Overachievers. The best kind." Mina stirred, making sleepy baby sounds. They both froze, holding their breath, but she settled again. "We should sleep while she sleeps," Hana whispered. Smart. But neither of them moved. They sat there in the dim nursery, their daughter sleeping peacefully, the Seoul skyline glittering beyond the window. Safe. Together. Home. Jaewon? Thank you. For choosing me. For fighting for us. For being brave enough to love me even when it was dangerous. Hana. His voice was thick with emotion. "You saved me. You gave me a reason to be better, to want more, to believe in happy endings. I should be thanking you. Let's call it even." She rested her head on his shoulder. "We saved each other. Deal." Outside, Seoul hummed with life. A city of millions of stories, millions of moments, millions of people searching for connection. But in that quiet nursery, in that perfect moment, two lost souls who'd found each other in the rain held their sleeping daughter and knew they were exactly where they were meant to be. A Korean Mafia boss had let a stranger stay one night. By morning, everything had changed, and 3 years later, they were still choosing each other. Every single day. The end.